to do yes, no, maybe to every book I have read this year. I have actually just passed my reading goal of 50 books. I read 51 books. So here's whether or not I would recommend these books. Starting off with Fourth Wing and Iron Flame. Both of these were a reread that I did at the beginning of the year for Onyx Storm. Fourth Wing is a yes, I love this one. Iron Flame is really a maybe for me. I don't like this one as much as the first one. However, it is important to read, especially for Onyx Storm, which is absolutely a yes. This book had me stressed the entire time. Next, I have the Emily Wilde series. This is a yes to all three of these. The first two books were a 5-star for me. The third one was a 4-star. I didn't like it as much as the first two. However, I absolutely adore this series. This is the perfect cozy fantasy, and it deserves way more hype. Next, I have Playing Hard to Get and Playing by the Rules. Both of these are a maybe for me. They are a really spicy college romance. However, I did think they were really fun and I enjoyed them. They're just not the best books I've ever read, but I will be reading the third one. Rebel Witch, this one is also a yes. The Crimson Moth duology is one of my absolute favorites, and this one did not disappoint. This was just as good as Heartless Hunter and was the perfect conclusion. Next, I have A Tempest of Tea. This one is a maybe for me. I enjoyed it. However, there was a lot going on in it, and so I just found it difficult to keep track of at times. However, I will be reading the next one. The Stars Are Dying. This one is conflicting for me. I want to say no because I really struggled with this one. The world building is really confusing and I almost did not finish it. However, I kept reading and the second half was a little bit better than the first, so I'm going to put it at a no to a maybe. I do have the second one and I plan on reading it, so I'm hoping that it'll give me more explanation. The Shadow Between Us and The Darkness Within Us, both of these are an absolute yes. This is such an underrated duology and I highly recommend it. The Do-Over, this one is also a yes. I adored this book. I love the idea of repeating Valentine's Day over and over. It was such a fun young adult romance to read. The Rome, Kentucky series, this is a yes to all three of these. These books introduced me to Sarah Adams, who is now an auto-buy author for me. I personally think this is her best series that I've read so far. But all three of these are fantastic, and Practice Makes Perfect, the second one, is my favorite romance of the year. The Half King, this one is a maybe for me. There were things in it that I really enjoyed. However, this was another one where the world building was a little bit confusing, but I will be continuing the series. Next, I have the Remnant Chronicles. For this one, the first two are a maybe for me. They were really slow. However, this has one of the best plot twists I have ever read. I do think the writing in this is well done and I was thoroughly shocked. However, the third one is a no for me. I almost did not finish this one. Everything that I loved about the first two was minimal in this, and then a lot of things that I didn't like about the first two, there was a lot more of that in this one. But Dance of Thieves and Vow of Thieves, this is the sequel to the Remnant Chronicles. Both of these are an absolute yes. This duology is so much better than the prequel series in my opinion. I loved this when I read them. This was a top duology for me this year. The Night and the Moth, this one is also a yes for me. It's really fun. However, I don't think it's as good as One Dark Window. The Strawberry Patch Pancake House, this series is honestly super cheesy, but I just adore it so much. This is one where I can just read for fun and it doesn't require a lot of effort, and this book did not disappoint in that. This is a really cute romance that is perfect for spring. Sunrise on the Reaping, obviously yes. This book had me sobbing all afternoon when I finished it, and I think it was a really great addition to the Hunger Games series. The Enemy, I'm gonna go with a maybe for this one. I really loved it at the time that I read it. However, I don't remember much about it. It is a really cute, fun romance, but I don't think it's rememberable. The Love Hypothesis, absolutely yes. This is one of my favorite romances I have read this year. I loved everything about this one. I highly recommend it. Six Scorched Roses, this was a yes for me. The Serpent and the Wings of Night was not my favorite book, so I was hesitant going into this, but I was actually surprised by how much I liked this one. And for it being such a short book, you get a complete story start to finish with an amazing plot and character development. You Between the Lines, this one is a maybe for me. There were some things that I enjoyed, but mostly the female main character was frustrating, and it is very heavy on the miscommunication trope. Binding 13, this one is also a yes for me. This book is really heavy. However, I think it is worth the read. And also when I finished it, I immediately had to start the next one. Watch Me, this one is a yes. I think this is a great addition to the Shatter Me series and I cannot wait to continue. The Twin Crowns trilogy, this one is also a yes. The series gives Disney princess vibes, and it is a fantastic young adult fantasy series. Mysterious Society of Lady Scoundrels, this one is a maybe for me. It is really fun. However, this is another one where there's a lot going on and it's hard to keep track of. Like, one of the characters has about 5 different names. But I do think it's an interesting historical romance with a unique take on pirates. Fearless, this one is an absolute yes for me. I love the Powerless trilogy, and this was a great ending to the series. Summer in the City, this one is also a yes for me. It's such a fun romance, and it really does give like the 2000s rom-com vibes. Lessons in Chemistry, this was a no for me. I'm really sorry to everyone that loves this, but this was just not it for me. The Cheat Sheet and the Rule Book, both of these for me are a yes, but for you they could be a maybe, because I hear a lot of people say they think the characters are annoying. However, I really enjoyed them. The Summer Broken Rules, yes, this is such a great book for the summer. I loved how the family played the game of Assassin, and it made me really want to play, even though I never would because I'd be too anxious. And the romance in this is amazing. It had me believing in soulmates. The Rose Bargain, this one is also a yes. This is perfect if you love the selection of Bridgerton, because it is like a combination of those, but with fae. And I honestly cannot wait for the next book. House of Earth and Blood, absolutely yes. This is my favorite book I have read so far this year. Everything about it is perfect. The characters, the plot, the world building, the twists and turns. I had no idea where this book was going, and I loved every second of it. If you have not read this, please let this be your sign that you need to read it. Next, I have Rival Darling, and this one is also a yes. This is a cute young adult hockey romance with fake dating. This gives it better than the movies vibes, and the romance in this is adorable. It will have you giggling and kicking your feet. Just for the Summer, absolutely yes. This is another one of my favorite romances I have read this year. This is another book where everything about it was perfect. This was my first book by her, and I am excited to read her other works. Daughter of No Worlds, this one is also a yes for me. However, I want to be clear that this book is pretty slow. With that being said, I wasn't bored at all while reading this, and it has a really unique and powerful magic system, and the characters are fantastic. It also has an amazing slow burn romance that makes me excited to keep reading this series. Keeper of the Lost Cities is a maybe for me, only because I'm not the target audience. However, I think it's a great book for kids. And the next 3 books are e-arcs that I have read, starting with Lessons in Faking. This one is being released on November 11th. This was a really fun college romance with fake dating your brother's rival. I really enjoyed this one, and I thought the fake dating in this was a little bit different than what you normally see. Next, I have It's Different This Time. Absolutely yes. This is being released on September 30th, and this is one of the best books I have read this year. If you are a fan of the 7-Year Slip, then you definitely need to check this one out. It doesn't have magical realism, however, it does have a dual timeline with friends to lovers, forced proximity, slow burn, New York City in the fall, and Broadway references. This is going to be the perfect book for fall. And last, I have Fake Skating. This is also being released on September 30th, and it is also a yes for me. This is another young adult hockey romance with fake dating. And honestly, Lynn Painter works are so adorable, and this one is no exception. However, this one is not my favorite by her, and I don't think it's as good as some of her other stories. I do think it is worth the read though, and I will be buying it when it's released.